And it's Ken Kraetzer for Cammvets Media. We cover cadets, midshipmen, the military veterans, and Iona University basketball. And today we have a chance to talk with Iona alumnus Kevin Hamilton. Kevin is a member of the Iona Athletic Hall of Fame. He was a Boston Celtics draft pick. We're going to talk about that later. And AAU coach and ESPN broadcaster. Kevin, how are you today?
Very good, Ken. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Now, Friday night, Iona paid a visit over to Riverdale to play Manhattan. One of their really storied rivals. They're only about less than 10 miles apart. And of course, the homecoming for Steve Masiello, who's now director of basketball operations for Iona, back to the school where he coached, was head coach for over 10 years. What was your overall impression of Friday night?
I thought it was really good for the MAAC conference to have such a competitive game against two teams that it should have been a little bit uneven. Iona clearly should have been the favorite to go in and handle Manhattan, but the energy, the excitement, and certainly the anticipation of having Coach Mass back in that gym was just really, really good to see a high energy game.
Very good. Now, really, from a basketball point of view, the key was Walter Clayton back in the Iona lineup at apparent full strength. He played about 15 minutes on last Sunday in a loss to Ryder, but didn't look effective. But he looked back on his game. Certainly, 21 points speaks for itself.
Yeah, Walter had a very good game. Was happy to see that he's healthy again and playing the way he likes to play, very physical and playing through a lot of minutes when you haven't played for a while. So it was good to see him back in the lineup. It's also again going to be that challenge for Iona, to get some consistency in their lineup and figure out, what five or what seven are going to be the seven to take them through the stretch. Having Walter back was really big, but you can tell, they're still coming together, which is going to be the way they're going to have to do it for the rest of the season.
Well, no Quinn Zelensky. Coach Pitino said that Quinn Zelensky had surgery on his ankle last week,
Oh wow!
so is out. Our best wishes to him on a full recovery and get back to playing basketball. But it looks at you look at Ashima. Coach Pitino was saying last week that didn't see Shima really as the ideal power forward to complement Nelly Jr. Joseph, but is going to be playing that spot. Coach Pitino said they really don't have a power forward. How do you feel Ashima is fitting in? He had 10 points against Manhattan.
Well, I like him. I think he creates some real mismatch problems for the competition. And, to Oz's credit, they've kind of asked him to do a lot of things since the beginning of the season. And when you're not sure, where you fit in a lineup, what your role is, whether it is to extend the floor for Nelly Jr. Joseph by shooting threes or to be that shot blocker at the five, it's kind of, difficult. But I think if Coach Pitino and his staff, you know, decide exactly how they're going to use him down the stretch and give him, that idea of exactly what he can focus on, not trying to be many other things. I think it's to Iona's benefit to have the big guy be able to do a number of things for them and certainly help Nelly. The four, yeah, no, he's not a traditional four, but the way Iona plays with such great ball movement, players moving around the floor and being able to shoot the three, I think he's going to be a real asset for them.
Yeah, Barrett John Louis had a good offensive game, 18 points, critical contribution to the game, and steady on defense. I think his offense. Do you see his offense as being a vital part of Iona's game for the balance of the year?
Well, anyone who follows Iona closely knows that when Barrett is scoring, it's a real issue for the competition because now they have to focus on someone who traditionally is in there primarily to be the defender and the stopper. But when he's scoring, I mean, who are you going to guard? You can't guard Clayton. You can't guard Jenkins. You can't guard Nelly. You can't even guard some guys coming off the bench to score like Cruz Davis and others. So I think it's critical for him to be a scorer and for Iona to be able to leverage that and change the entire look for the competition to have to try to defend just another really good scorer in their lineup.
Now, that's a game Iona had a comfortable lead at the half, 11 points, and into the second half, but let Manhattan back into the game and had to manage the last minute pretty tightly to get the game into overtime. Then Ellie Jr. Joseph played very well, got 6 points in the overtime. Iona dominated that 16-8. What was your thought about Manhattan catching up and forcing an overtime?
Hey, I think anything's possible. Again, Manhattan was playing off a ton of emotion. To be in the contest all the way to the end certainly had to make them feel good. You could tell they were a little tired though. Starting in the overtime, they were just emotionally and physically drained. Um, I would like to see what Nelly did in the overtime kind of be the standard for Iona. I think I'd love to see him get the ball a little bit more. Iona is very good in the backcourt, and their guards have free reign to score and do what they want to do. But I think going down the stretch, Nelly's going to be a key component to force um, other teams to have to defend in the paint and then outside the paint.
And its first game, we've seen the new Manhattan coach, former player there, Rashawn Stores. How did you think he did in his first game coaching Manhattan against Iona?
Oh, he did a very good job. I mean, he has those guys playing for him, which is the key to everything. He lost a couple of their better players, so they're trying to figure it out as they go with what they have. And again, that had to be very, very emotional for him to coach against, his former leader and someone that he has a ton of respect for and played for. So, that's just, kudos to him. I'm sure they're hoping they can get the level of players that Iona has so that one day, coaching becomes a very little part of what happens on the floor. The players decide it all. So I'm happy for them. And again, they showed that on any given night or day, any team in the MAAC can compete.
Okay, now Iona's will have a long week to prepare for a big game up at Siena in Albany. Siena lost their last game to Fairfield at 62-52 after having defeated Mount St. Mary's on Friday night. They're 13-7, 7-2, and I have a feeling they could have a big crowd there at the arena. I don't know what they call it now. Once it was called the Knickerbocker, then the Times record for many years. But you could have over 10,000 people at that game.
Yeah, so they call it the MVP arena.
MVP arena now,
which they will fill to the rafters when Iona comes to town, and particularly knowing what's at stake with this contest. The winner, vaults into the lead of the conference. Their loss to Fairfield seemed like they were looking ahead. They got off to a very good start in the first half and played well. Had contributions from many players, but second half really, hit a slump. And the sign of it is they had one player in double figures. Everybody else was around the 7-point range, which if you have 12 guys at 7 points, that's not bad. But when you have 4 or 5, then you're struggling to score. Some of their key players like the Bear, I'm gonna say Bear, but it's probably Bar Kid, did not have a good game, but he always plays very well against Iona. So look for him to rebound. And just the energy and the excitement, to be a big time college basketball game that both teams know what's at stake. The coaches are going to be on their game, and I expect it to be a very, very well played game by both teams, with whatever team carries the momentum throughout and is consistent should come out on top.
Okay, and then on Sunday, Iona will return home to play the Heinz Center to play Quinnipiac, a team that they lost to up in Hamden, Connecticut, a couple of weeks ago. The students are back, so it could have a big crowd, the band and all. It should be a good basketball environment. So a second big game for Iona on the weekend.
Yeah, I look forward to broadcasting the game also on ESPN. That'll be a lot of fun.
Good.
But I'll tell you this: I know a lot of people from Quinnipiac, and they're not thinking the first game was a fluke. So they're going to come in with a mindset. Certainly, Iona has revenge on the mind, and but they can't look past Siena. Forget Quinnipiac right now. They got to play Siena first. But when they get to that game, I'm certain players like Jenkins and others are going to want to really, really rise to the occasion, and play their very best game against this team that, totally took them out. But they're going to have to be very careful and not let their emotions drive the way they play. Quinnipiac thinks that they can compete with Iona, and early in the contest, we'll get a good idea of who's right, whether Quinnipiac players are right or whether Iona and their revenge factor is going to stand out.
Okay, well, it's really a great weekend of college basketball for Iona. Two big games back to back that'll just really detail where their season is going and how they will kind of look going into the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference tournament. Kevin, you mentioned recently to me about being a Boston Celtic NBA draft pick. And I was wondering if you could tell the story a little bit about that to our audience.
Oh, thank you. That's very nice of you. So, coming out of Iona, junior year, I started getting some interest from some teams, and then senior year with how great our team was, and I was fortunate enough to be a key piece to that very good team. I got a ton of interest, and knew I was going to be drafted. Didn't know what round or by who, and it was very interesting that when the Celtics drafted me, and I got a chance to speak to Red Auerbach, who's the general manager. I asked him. I said, you guys never spoke to me. You never worked me out. You never spoke to me. So why'd you draft me? A big part of it was, if you go back and look at the Louisville game in the Garden, Red was sitting right there courtside, so got a chance to see me play. And then he said, if any other team knew I was even interested in you, they would have drafted you just because. And that just goes to show how special of a guy he was. Brilliant, brilliant basketball mind. And being drafted by the Celtic along with, guys like Kevin McHale and Arnett Holman, a 6'9" guy from Purdue, and others, was a real honor. Unfortunately, I got hurt during preseason, and my professional career with the Celtics at that point was cut short. But you know what? I wouldn't trade any of those experiences that I got, being able to be on the same court with guys like Larry Bird, Nate Archibald, and others, was just really, really special. So, and to think a guy from Iona could get that far, right? Nowadays, it's not so wild of a dream, but back in those days, a lot of mid-major players like myself, didn't really get the opportunity unless we went out and did what we did on the court against some of the best players in the country. So it was a great honor.
Yeah. Now, back then, were there options to go play in Europe? There wasn't a development league for the NBA back then, but were there options? I know you went to a terrific business career.
Yeah, there were options. My injury to my elbow required me to sit for at least 9 months. And after a lot of crying, my father said to me, "Well, you did get a degree, right? So how about go to work?" and I did, and I started at IBM. Had a very great career at IBM, and and finished my career retiring from Xerox Corporation. So listen, I took a lot of that energy that I had on the floor and put it into a business career that, went very, very well. And I wouldn't trade that for anything as well.
Okay, next week we'll have to ask you about your time at IBM, and you did have terrific success there, and that's great to hear on. Okay, so final thought for us. Any other basketball thought before the weekend?
Well, I'm excited that the students are back. That place should be rocking, especially when Quinnipiac comes to town, knowing what happened in the first game. And I listen. There's no more competitive coach in the world than Coach Bertino. He will have these guys ready to go. They're just going to have to be able to, manage their energy and get off to a great start and look for good things to happen.
Okay, Kevin Hamilton, Iona Athletic Hall of Famer, and AAU coach, and ESPN will be broadcasting for ESPN. You're doing Sunday?
I am doing Sunday, yes.
That's great. Well, you can listen to Kevin do the call and the play-by-play and the color on and analysis. That'll be terrific to hear. And so, Kevin, thank you. We'll see you again next week. And again, this is Ken Kraetzer for Cammvets Media. We always like to recognize our friends at the Special Operations Warrior Foundation. They provide scholarship and mentoring to fallen members of the Special Operations military community. Do great work. So, Kevin, again, thank you. We'll see you at Iona on Sunday. Should be two big games, two very good ones for the Gaels this weekend, at Siena on Friday and home with Quinnipiac on Sunday afternoon. Good to see you. Everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. Hope to see you at the Heinz Center on Sunday. Take care.